whilst we work on some crochet stuff. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome to the dungeon. Why does nobody ever get that reference? It's a shame. Hey, girl, what's up? Now, I can't promise this won't fuck up shortly, because I know I'm going to get a ring on the phone, and I know it's going to fuck up my IG, but I'm working on some crochet stuff right now, so, and I also had some thoughts, and I figured I would do both at the same time, and then I figured out that I can use this avatar, but here's the weird thing. My hair's long, my hair's short. It's long, it's short. That's weird. Okay. Anyways, I'm balancing the phone right now, so it's not great, but it's, like, not bad. Like, I can make stupid faces, like, I don't know, anyway. But I'm pinning my stuff right now, so, but isn't it kind of better to, like, isn't it kind of better that you see my facial expressions? Anyway, sorry. Any hoozlebees. I know what's going to happen. I just had like a whole maybe hour discussion with Instacart. That was fun. I love having the same discussion 7 times in a row. Actually, I'll tell you the story. So, normally you have to pay $35 to get free delivery. Well, there are 2 stores that are minimum $10. Great. Now, it never works, so I usually just ignore it, but I really need it this time because it's late and it's
Yes, she is back. She's done 2 or 3 other IG lives over the weekend. And she hasn't once mentioned anything. Is it Cooch with Moses' voice? No! Fancy Feast! Ah! No, she changed her avatar on her IG for when she's doing these IG lives. So she's the pink one, but I just changed stuff around.
the only thing open. So I say to the dude, hey, it's still charging me $8 for delivery, but it shouldn't. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I took a screenshot and I'm like, see, it doesn't say you need another $18. It says free delivery. Okay.
You know what, Missy? I need that too, but that's not going to happen. So I need Star to come to produce some proof of what she says that she knows and says she has proof of. I need her to really show that shit, because as it is right now, a lot of people are getting lied to and everything else. And if she's got information that could help people see the truth, if he is actually still alive and she knows this and she can prove this, and she's keeping that from us all, that's shitty too. So, yeah. So somebody needs to frickin' come clean. Right, exactly, Missy. If she had never gone back and forth on him being dead or alive, this topic wouldn't be a topic.
They're like, oh, well, we're getting lots of complaints about this, so we're going to fix it. And I said, well, when's going to fix it? And she's like, well, uninstall the app and reinstall it and try again in an hour. And I'm like, lady, it's 11 p.m., but all right. Well, I didn't wait an hour. And I went back into the app and I spoke to Mr. Paul. And Paul, I said, listen, can't you just credit me the delivery since, you know, supposed to be free and then I can order? He's like, oh, we can't do that. But, he says, I've put a free delivery thing in your account so you can go ahead and do it. Great, I say. And in my head, I'm going, you know what? Let me check. So I quickly go to try to place the order, and what does it say? You need to spend another $18 for free delivery. And I said, sir, this is the problem. And he goes, well, I'm sorry, but it's $35 for free delivery. And I said, then what were you offering me, honey? And I said, no, it's not. Look here. And I give him the screenshot that says $10 for free delivery. And I said, look, for example, here's another store.
Exactly, Missy. Exactly. And now I'm really annoyed with myself because I totally messed up my editing and it's no longer visually pleasing to me, and this is driving me crazy. Let's continue. This is really annoying me. Those squares, those should not be squares.
Or see how it says 35 for free delivery? And he's like, well, it's $10 for a minimum order. And I said, that's not what it says. And I say, see what it said, free delivery. And then I circled it for him. And I felt like I was going to gouge my eyeballs out because I thought I was pretty clear. And then he said, well, he goes, have you tried to place the order? And I go, how do you think I got the screenshot? Okay. And to send to you. See that right there? Then he said, well, you might have to place the order and I'll refund you the delivery after it's been delivered. And I said, great. Now, I said, how do I do that without having to come back and do this all over again? Because clearly you don't read each other's messages. I didn't say that part. And he said, well, I can track it.
Yeah, I mean, she's totally talking down on these people, just even telling the story.
And then when it's delivered, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it and take your word for it. And so I did. And it should be here in a minute. And why do I have a feeling I'll be back on customer service in a bit for my $8 back? But what are you going to do? Anywho.
You know what? Not from what I've heard, but that would be so Yates of her if it was. Although we know she could talk for probably 2 hours about this. But from what I've been told, she doesn't.
That's my story. But more importantly, I have things I want to talk about. I need people's brains. So thank you for the two of you having brains and being here. So, people hate Amzi. People love Amzi. I get that. I am under no judgment of anyone's feelings towards Amzi. Here's my weird question about it. Oh no! Is it still happening? Oh look, I can make a sad face. That makes me sad. Well, here's my question. Is humanity just absolutely gone to shit? Like, let's say it's someone I hate. And there are some people I hate that the same thing was happening to. I may not offer them my strength and prayers, but I may not go help them. You know what I mean? But I sure as shit am gonna feel terrible and also not be like, well, and start justifying it. Like, there are kids involved.
That's a bold ass lie. She'll drag you to hell behind the scenes and talk all kinds of shit behind your back. So
Babies. Not babies, but you know what I mean? Yes, it has. Well, Graciano, that's very helpful, actually, because I feel there are actually two things, like, related that I want to talk about, but mainly, I was like, I'm listening to, like, people say, well, he should have left her long ago. She was abusing him. What does that have to do with taking the children in the middle of the night? Well, not the middle of the night, and, like, doing a whole, like, what? No, I mean, you're not wrong, but, like, again, I tried to think in my head, like, let's say it was Jules, you know? Let's say it was, I don't know, many other people that I don't like that I'm not going to start naming, but I just named Jules because, you know, well, she's always naming me, but no part of me would be like, she's a bitch, she deserves it. What? Why with their kids. Okay.
Shut the fuck up. You're out here on sock accounts DMing Jules to give her information. Articles, news articles on my brother. And you want to talk about how like you'll feel bad for these people if tragedy strikes them, even your people you hate the most. You're such a liar. You're such a liar. This is how she manipulates people. This is just one of the things that she does to manipulate people, is to make, think she's judgment free and all this stuff, but she's not. She's really judgy. She's a judgy ass bitch behind the scenes.
Okay. And I also have been hearing the argument that they're not really scared because they're with their dad. And see, Napa, I knew you would. And here's the thing. Autism or not, when people are like, they're not going to be scared, they'll be fine, they're with their dad. Any kids with any abilities, thrive on routine. And maybe they have, Andy said,
As far as what's going on with Amzi, that shit's really hard, and I can't even imagine because I'm not a mother. However, before that all went down, the day before, Amzi is screaming the R word at people. And I'm not saying that she has a child with unique needs. And you fully support her calling everybody the R word when she has a child of herself that has unique needs. And yeah, let's continue.
he didn't take any of their stuff. So they're going to a new environment. Somewhere they haven't been, meeting a man they've never met who's a sex offender. Okay, just thought I'd put that out there. So that in and of itself should concern people. Now, you don't have to be concerned. And again, I'm not asking anyone to feel bad for Anzi, show any regret. Don't care what you think about Anzi. Yeah, I'm in shock. If you heard Amzi on that live and you couldn't read between the lines of the tone of her voice and how, here's what I heard, okay? I heard someone being like, okay, have to problem solve, gonna problem solve because, this is not gonna fuck up. Any chance I'm still here? Raise your hand. If no, is it still working or?
Okay, absolutely. I can't even imagine. I cannot even begin to imagine. You know what's weird though is that Muzz has a way of getting herself intertwined in other people's CPS cases. And it's really strange. There was somebody within when I was really good friends with Muzz, there was another woman in this tight knit group of women who had some issues and where CPS had gotten involved, and Muzz got all up in it. She tried to be as helpful as she could. Nothing to me at that time seemed odd about it because I didn't realize that Muzz has a way of wanting to get involved in anybody's CPS situations that come in front of her. So I've got on standby to play. I've got somebody from the recovery community whom was having to deal with CPS. And Muzz completely wormed her way into this woman and was also, trying to help her. And there's a whole lot to the story, and she was telling it on her channel. And it's definitely something I want to review, and I will actually link you guys. Check out my community tab probably tomorrow, I'll remember, and I'll put Olivia's link on my community tab, and you can go. Some of the videos are pretty long, and I edited just the Muzz centric parts to be able to share with you guys on a different video. But I just find it not at all surprising that this is at least the third. What's going on here? Talking to myself. Okay. That this is going to be now at least the third one that she's going to get herself involved in if she has it her way. And if you ever piss her off, she'll use that information against you. So, yeah, it is wild. It is wild. But so this whole thing, it's just kind of, oh, it's creepy because it's yet another person who she's going to try to completely insert herself. But this one will end way worse for her. Well, it has the potential. This time the involvement has the potential to go very badly if she pisses the wrong person off. So, go with your bad self, get as involved as you want, but
Did that fuck it up before I continue. Hey, peace and views if you can hear me, but I don't know if you can. Please let this work. But that's not a softy thing, Napa. Okay? Now, what you do with someone else, softy thing that you need, that you need to work on. But that's not a softy thing. That's, again, it's for the children, right? Children. Innocent fucking children. I just don't understand. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand. I guess, you know what it is? Sorry, 1 second. Obviously, they're dropping off the thing outside the door. Muzzy needs to let them know they're here. How dare they? Let him finish. Anyway, what was I saying? Right. Like, I don't remember what I was saying. Oh, right. Here's what I heard, okay? I heard someone, okay, got a problem solved. And, doing the thing I do when there's an emergency is, how can we problem solve? And then when she would stop. Thank you. When she would stop for a second, okay, I would, hear it breaking her heart. Saying, oh, I should have never moved here. Really, scared. That's what I heard. Now, I'm not, again, Muzzy. Now, I'm not saying because she was scared anyone needs to feel bad for her. Not what I'm saying. I'm just saying what I heard. What I read. It wasn't, listen, there's a lot of fake people on here, and that I heard fear. I did. I heard fear. I heard fear and terror. I did. Which anyone who's a mom, I'm assuming, if you woke up and your kids weren't there, would feel the same way. So, I don't know. I guess, you know what it reminds me of? I'll tell you this. When someone passed in our midst, and some people, let's say we're not a fan, it was a matter of, you could say nothing.
You've got to be freaking kidding me. Now she's talking about it. Oh my god, and you know damn well she's knows the latest on everything. I cannot. And the reason I was going to pause it was not to say that, it was to, I don't even know, but I forget now, but yeah, seriously, I cannot even believe that you're bringing this fucking up.
Thing or say good things, right? So, like, I understand people who are like, I can't stand her, I don't listen to her, I don't, I don't trust her, whatever, and don't want to offer her any grace or whatever. I understand that, but it's the people justifying it like, well, he should have done this long ago. No, 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 no. Because, okay, now, this I don't know, so hear me out. That's me scratching my nose. So this is a legal question, I guess, legal, whatever, family, court, whatever. Now, if, let's say, this is my question. Let's say, like, let's say they were in dire straits, the children, and she's the worst mother, and he needed to save them, right? Let's just say. And I don't, by the way, think that's the case, but let's give all the haters the benefit of the doubt. Now, okay, he was not, like, kidnapped or locked in the house, or, like, he went out to work every day, right? So if it was like, oh, he's saving them, wouldn't he just go to the court one day and file for divorce? Because that's the first, you know what I mean? Like, because then you have some sort of, you know what I mean? He like, you know what I mean? So, like, I just don't believe that. You know, if it was like, you know, for that argument, it's our deepest fear. That's what I heard. Now, again, justified or not, he's saving them or not, he's terrible, she's great, she's terrible, he's great or not, it's not going to stop that I heard that. You know what I mean? It's a gut reaction that nobody can deny. Why can't you hate Amzie for her? Like, if you hate her. Now, again, I would used to say I don't hate anyone online, now I do, but you have to love someone to hate them. I'm obviously not, nor was I ever even remotely close enough to her to love or hate. So, not my place, but I don't know. Personally, I felt the pain. And regardless of who you feel bad for or what, it's a sad situation. Can we agree on that? It is a sad situation. And hopefully, just sad and not dangerous. You know what I mean? That's it. But, I'm going to pivot from that for a second. So, hear me out, okay? About,
Brace yourselves, it's pivot time.
I'm going to pivot because, you know, her kids were mentioned, and, you know, one has autism, I believe, and obviously, you know, depending on where they are on the spectrum, and yada, yada. This could be harder or not harder, etc. Have you noticed that people trying to, how do I say this? I've noticed that while people are genuinely trying to condemn the R word, they're at the same time solidifying the problem with it. Like, the whole bottom line of it is like, you know, don't call someone the R word, because basically you're equating a medical condition, sort of, with being stupid, right? But have you noticed that people standing up for that, or whether legitimately or not, are doing it by, not solidifying, but what's what I'm looking for, like,
Oh my god, I do not like where this is going. I do not like where this is going at all. And Pippi, you're like, here we go. Yeah, here we go. She didn't even do a good job of explaining why it's offensive. She did a horrible job of explaining horrible job of explaining why it's offensive. Because it's sort of a medical condition, comparing people to being stupid. What? Tell that to the mothers that hurt whenever they hear that word. The mothers who have children who have been relentlessly called that word for a disability. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Toronto is more expensive than New York or LA. Toronto and Vancouver are both higher priced than New York and LA here. So she lives in a city that is more expensive than New York or LA.
That's the best word I can think of. Like, they're just like literally solidifying that they think it means stupid by saying, like, well, let me give you the example that I heard, and I was like, wait, what? So I heard a discussion about autism a bit, and it was more like, how could you call someone who has autism the R word because, and then there's a few steps here. One, well, it, it is not special needs, except it is, but, wait, how was this phrased? It was something like it's not special needs, it's really just a sensory issue, not just which everyone has, so they're like every other human. Now, the argument doesn't really.
So when I lived in Florida, um, I got to go to the pool every day if I wanted. I should have gone every day, but I would go swimming a lot, a lot, and there were people. It was the YMCA, and so they work really well with people with disabilities and all kinds of stuff. Um, and there was a home that was nearby that um some of these people lived in, and they would come up to the pool all the time and swim too. Well, one day the pool was very busy, so I had to share my lap lane with somebody else. And we were talking and having a good conversation. And then I was talking about, because one of the people that lived in this home, he was training for what are the Olympics called? The Special Olympics? But he was training for that. And I said something, I used the phrase special needs, and she looked at me and she said, "We don't say that." Or what do you mean by that, or something like that. Like, basically, she replied to me in a way letting me know that saying special needs was offensive to her. And I didn't even realize that she um was one of the people from that particular home that was there. but in a very kind way, she let me know. I wish I could remember exactly what she said, but I just remember thinking about it for 2 weeks later and how embarrassed I was because I would never want to offend or hurt, this person in any way. So I've always been very, very careful to not say special needs now. That's why I was trying to find words before and I said unique because um because this woman who was so sweet, she wasn't a fan of it. So that kind of got me when Muzz said, I hate how Muzz does this, talking like she's answering herself because she's right, but listen to her anyway, even though she's right. And she was just saying, even though they're not technically special needs, but they are kind of, yeah. So let's continue. I just wanted to tell that story.
Matter exactly, except for the fact that, so what you're saying is, they're not the R word because they are not classified as having special needs. Ergo, special needs equals the R word?
Yes, Muzz, to some people, it actually does. And Belinda, thank you. Let me read that out loud. Differently abled. Okay. Thanks, Napa. Differently abled. Muzz, you did an entire stream called Autism is Not the R Word to explain that autistic folks should be held accountable for their actions because they don't have an intellectual disability. Differently abled. I like that, and I need to commit that to memory. I was so embarrassed after I was corrected and so mortified so mortified at the thought that I could have possibly offended this lovely woman that I didn't even ask what I should have said or anything. I was just feeling so bad and all up in my head after that.
Do you know what I mean? Or like, they only have sensory issues, which is not the case, but it's not, that's not the definition of autism, having autism, but, and like everyone does. Well, did anyone ever doubt that people who have autism are like other humans? Like, I'm confused. You know what I mean? And so it's like, it seems on the outside like people are arguing, like, why would I call them the R word? They may as well be saying, don't call people who have autism the R word because they're not stupid. They just have autism. Like, is that not what you hear from arguments like that? And I just heard it many times. I've heard it many times, and I just heard it again, and I was like, wait, is that not, that's not saying, like, the whole point of not using the R word, or not using a word, is like educating on why you shouldn't use it, right? Not just don't. But just don't is like, don't do it because it's not nice. But it's not because it's not nice, it's because it's incorrect also. It's not true. First of all,
Uh, Pippi, that smacked me right in the face because it's so true. And it's like, duh. So it's a little bit confusing though because it started out as she was defending Amzi's use of the word, but now I don't know what the hell she's doing. Let's continue. Well, real quick, because that last little bit didn't sound like defending it, it sounded the opposite.
that diagnosis of mental R is not the same diagnosis as having autism. Also, neither of which are stupid. Isn't that the point? Like, anyone? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like hearing people argue it, and it's like, yeah, that's right. They're just like regular people. Like, who said they were? What? And when did having special needs is not, like, are we now turning special needs into the new R word? Do you know what I mean? It's a bit weird, right? Like, that's not really, I know I'm not explaining this well, but, because I'm not even totally sure, like, how to explain that it's weird to me. Like, I don't know. We're not debunking that the R word, like, we're not saying the R word does not mean stupid. We're saying people are into the R word because they're not stupid. Not everyone says that, but do people hear that often? Like, I mean, I do. Maybe it's just me, but if you ever, like,
Oh my God, you did not lie on the word salad that this is. I need to slow it down and rewind about 20 seconds and listen to what she just said again.
that it's weird to me. Like, I don't know. We're not debunking that the R word, like, we're not saying the R word does not mean stupid. We're saying people are into the R word because they're not stupid. Not everyone says that, but do you not?
That still makes no sense to me. And right, she doesn't, nobody needs her to explain that word. Like, what the fuck? You really think that you're that special and that you're that great of a teacher that you're needed to explain, and you're not even explaining it. You're making this huge word salad that's nonsense. It's a nonsense word salad of nonsense with nonsense dressing.
Like, do people hear that often? Like, I mean, I do. Maybe it's just me, but if you ever, like, listen to someone making the argument and, like, really think about what they're saying, you're like, wait a minute. Like, I once heard a mom of a kid with special needs, many special needs, say, it doesn't bother me if people say the R word because I know my daughter doesn't have that, right? And
Here's the deal, was all parents of children with all parents of children that are differently abled, I had to scroll back and remind myself of the word, but all parents of children that are differently abled are not a monolith. They don't all think the exact same way. And it hurts a lot of people. Why? What's the point of using it if just the word hurts people? Just be a little bit nicer in life and don't say the words, and don't try to justify other people that it's okay that they say them. Which is somehow you're not making any sense, and yet you're trying to justify that this is okay. Or something. Maybe? Yes, no? I don't know what you're just. This is a hot ass mess.
or she's not that. Well, yeah, it's always right, exactly. Exactly. Like, it's not, it's just become, in my opinion, the whole reason we don't use it anymore is because it's colloquially became a synonym for stupid, which, even when it was a blanket diagnosis, did not mean stupid, right? It's like when people used to call each other like, you're gay, and meaning you're stupid, or you're dumb, or you're a loser. Also, not a thing. It's incorrect, right? And, I mean, other than being a slur and rude and disrespectful, it's not a thing. So it became that, and we're trying to get it out of that. But instead of arguing that that's not what it means, we're just saying people are not the R word because they're not stupid. Do you hear that also often? Like, if you really think about what people's argument is, it's often like, well, again, like the one I just said about like kids with like.
So, are you saying that differently abled kids are, in fact, that word? Is that what you're saying now? I have no idea. I cannot. Hi, Myrtle. In lecturing on this, it's like she's trying to justify that it's an okay word, I think. As long as I feel like she's saying it's okay to use it if you're talking about differently abled kids. Or maybe then it's okay. I don't know. Or maybe that's when it's not. I don't know. And I'm glad I'm not the only one I'm glad that you guys are absolutely as confused as I am. Muzz would like offensive slurs to be used accurately. That is what I'm feeling, yes. She is. Thank you, Belinda Paul. That is what I'm hearing also. Oh my gosh.
They don't have, they're not really special needs. They just, have sensory issues, and so that's not why they're not the R word. Like, A, it's not their diagnosis. B, special needs is not an insult, and it doesn't make you less of a human. Like, are we trying to, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I feel like trying to stop the R word is turning into making other things offensive that shouldn't be. I don't know if I'm explaining it properly. You know what I mean?
What Muzz, like when Amzi when Amzi screamed and called Danny a mongoloid? Those kind of slurs. And in fact, let me just Google that. So there is no confusion. It is an offensive word. It's an old fashioned term for people with Down syndrome. It's an obsolete racial grouping of various peoples indigenous to parts of Asia and the Americas and some regions in Europe and Oceania. Um, there was also let me see. Here we go. It can also be considered a division of humans into three different categories. But it's basically in reference. The biggest part of it is to people with Down syndrome. Hey, Nikki. Okay. So here is where it comes into also being a racial derogatory term. So AMZ has children or has a child with autism, but it's okay for her just to be calling everybody R words and, black women, mongoloids. So disgusting. But let's continue to listen to Muzz defend AMZ's slurs. Oops. Did I mute you guys? Nope.
Like what? Like it's branching out into other words that are not. I feel like a better way to attack that problem of language is to discuss the meaning of the words. Like, don't make the R word like a hush hush, you can't say it, so don't even ask about it. Because then, like, you know what I mean? Like, younger people, like, what if people don't actually know what it actually means? Well, then you're like white knuckling it. Okay, I have an example. You know when people say, like, they're sober, but they're not really sober, they're just not drinking? Or, let's say alcohol, you know what I mean? Like, they're white knuckling it, so to speak, like, just not drinking, but they're not sober. Right? Like, there's a difference. So, that's what I feel like. It's like the white knuckling of language. Like, shouldn't we discuss it more? So, because, like, you have to know what something is to know why not.
Muzz, stop! No, it's offensive. It's offensive. It doesn't need to be discussed more. You're just going to offend more people like you did when you were trying to talk about race in the past. You're just offending a lot of people and you're acting completely ignorant. It shouldn't be a thing at all, and it is offensive, and thank you. She did word that. She explained that perfectly.
Not to use it. Obviously, people aren't well versed in why it's offensive if they think that the answer to it is, well, you shouldn't call someone with autism the R word because they're not stupid. Do you know what I mean? That's just as bad in theory as calling them the R word. Because it's not about the word, right? It's like when people, sing a song that has the N word and they say it and then it's like, you said the N word, you're racist. That's not what makes you racist. Now, I've never used.
So if I say, oh, I love you so much, you're just my little R. Oh, my little R, baby, I love you so much. I'm acting like I'm talking to my cat. If I just said, oh, my R, I love you, then it's not offensive. Bitch, please. The word is offensive. It doesn't need to be used for anything. And the fact that you're trying to condone, I don't know what you're fucking doing. Lord.
Use that word in my life, actually, because it's not in my vocabulary and I don't listen to music really that plays it. But isn't racism, like, if people actually talked about, like, what's racism? Well, it's not just judging people by the color of their skin. It's inherently thinking of them as inferior due to their race. It's a
Muzz, you think everybody, regardless of race, is inferior to you. Shut the fuck up. Nobody needs you to teach them this shit. This is so. Oh my god. She really did. You're right. She really wanted some attention with this. For sure. I don't know what the fuck she's thinking. She doesn't think that's what she's thinking. She's clueless.
Mentality, it's a thought process. It's the reason it's so dangerous is because it's not just a word. If it was just a word, it wouldn't be dangerous, right? Just a word you could erase. Just a word you could not say. It's the fact, the hatred, the bias, how deep it goes, that's the issue. Well, if you just say, don't say the word, I know they're not open to it, but I think people are not open to it because they're scared to talk about it, because it's like, don't say it, don't say the word. But it feels like just like white knuckling sobriety, like that.
Guess what, Muzz? You're causing us to have a whole ass discussion about it. We don't even need to say the word. Guess what? We are discussing it and nobody's saying the word. How about them apples?
That's the only example I have, because like I've heard of, I've heard a lot of people talk about that, like, what's it called, dry drunk or something? No, is that what it's called? I don't know. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, I was listening to it and I was like, wait, this seems backwards. Not backwards, but like, counterproductive to the point. Like, does it make sense what I'm saying? May not make sense, but like, a little bit. Do you understand it all? Like, anyone? I don't know where everyone is, but dry drunk, that's the right word, like, for when I say white knuckling it, you know what I mean? Well then, that's not really, you know what, anyways, I don't know if I'm making sense, but, I don't know, listening to, it seems like the language is going the wrong way. Like, you're not the R word because you're not stupid. That kind of reinforces the fact that people think it means you're stupid.
Yeah, I was just kind of wondering that too. Why is she talking about alcohol addiction and comparing it? This whole white knuckling, or I don't even know. Oh my goodness.
Which is the whole problem. It's the same thing with, I think it's the same thing with any words that are offensive. It's not the word, It's what the word evokes. It's what the word means. It's the reason you're using it and the purpose behind it. Because in theory, if you say, this kid is not an R word because they're not dumb, then you're saying you agree that it means you're dumb. So you could sound like you're standing up for the right thing, but in theory, you're just like, I'm trying to think, like, you're just as bad as the racist, like, I don't know how to use it other than, like, in terms of racism, but if you're doing that, let's say with the N-word, then aren't you just as bad as the person who says the N-word? Because you have the same thought process, you have the same mentality. You believe that that's what it means. You know what I mean? Just because you're arguing against it for the sake of social justice doesn't necessarily mean you don't believe it. I don't know if anything.
What the fuck? So she's saying that just because you don't use it and you fight for social injustice doesn't mean you don't think it? What is she? Is this how she works, so she thinks it? Who's thinking it? What are you talking about? I am not a red emoji, and that is me right now, pulling my hair out. I will be bald by the morning.
I'm saying resonates with anyone else, but I was so thinking about it tonight, and I'm like, something's off here. Like, something felt like a tangential argument. Something is stuck in the machine here. 1 second, guys. So, like, okay, let's say for alcoholism, dry drunk. Isn't that, like, not considered sober? Like, in theory? I don't know enough, but Hold on, I'm putting you down for a second. Like, isn't that not, it's considered like not sober, right? If you are a dry drunk.
So this woman, if she was in a hospital because of YouTube and social media, why is she back on YouTube and social media? Go ahead and pretend she was. Then the very first thing she did when she got out was go back to YouTube and social media. The very first thing, and that's supposedly what put you in there. More reason to know that you're a bold-faced liar and you weren't ever there.
But you're not drinking. So, and that's where, in my opinion, and it's like separating that shit, you know? Is your goal not to use the R word, or is your goal to, you know, help people realize that those with special needs are not stupid? Where, in my opinion, it's the, oh my god, ready for this blast from the past? What's your goal, right? Is your goal not to drink?
Is your goal not to drink, or is your goal to be sober? What kind of question is that? Unless you're asking somebody like me who smokes weed. I don't know. That's just like that's you're saying the same thing. Is your goal not to drink, or is your goal to be sober? What's the difference? Unless this person is doing a cocktail of whatever and to take. Missy, don't you love that? Is your Missy, is that what people at work is your goal not to do this alcohol or drug, or is your goal to be sober? Which one? You have to pick one. It's like the same thing.
It's like separating that shit, you know? Is your goal not to use the R word, or is your goal to, you know, help people realize that those with are not stupid?
Again, there's no need to use the word to teach that. I don't know if you're justifying that people should use it to teach that it's an offensive word.
Which one? Do you know what I mean? Like, why is this stuck? What did I do? Oh, I fixed it. Okay. It's, no, still sober, but not in recovery. Okay, I see. You're sober, you're not in recovery. Okay, I got you. I got you. So I guess it's what's your...
Okay, so is your goal to be sober or not to be in recovery? Is that what she's going to say? I swear.
Because I heard someone say to me that's not really sober. But I guess, well, you know what? Like I always say about language, I guess it depends. on what you consider sober, right? You say it's recovery. I've heard people say, so I guess that's, see, language. Kind of validates. You know, I get what you're saying. However, I think it even goes deeper. Definitions and that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like, if you don't talk about the things that you're supposed, it's like sex education. Not teaching your kids about it and not talking about it is a surefire way to have pregnant teens, right? Because if you don't know what it is, how can you be responsible?
She just compared slurs to sex talks with your kids. Missy, I agree 100%. She is now comparing slurs.
About it or avoid it or whatever, right? Because wasn't it like way back when, or like super like religious people that like think that like if you have like behind sex you like can't get pregnant, you know what I mean? Like, but sperm movement, whatever, you know what I mean? Like if you don't educate people,
Holy. We even get a we even get a butt sex reference. Oh my god.
because wasn't it like way back when, or like super like religious people that like think that like behind sex you like can't get pregnant, you know what I mean? Like, but I don't know, like.
So now she's comparing butt sex to slurs. She is literally comparing.
Like, then you don't know your boundaries. Like, you can't be an independent thinking human being that can, like, it can't be black and white, right? If it's just don't say this word, you know what I mean, though. Like, you know, if it's like, if it's just don't say this word, then what happens if you're expressing the same idea without the word? You may not even realize it because all you've been taught is don't say the word. Right? Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. Like, again, it's like someone being racist and going, I'm not racist, I don't use the N-word. But, you know, they say all this terrible stuff and they have the belief that other races are inferior, but they don't say the N-word. Do you know what I mean? Sober is not using recovery. I got you. Okay, thank you. Right. So again, that's right. Okay. I got you. Sober is just not okay. And that's like, I mean, the same examples. Like, if you're just, I don't know, it's like avoiding the one thing in like the black and white. Well, then you can't make a right decision of like, okay, can buy this standard or moral or whatever, right? It's like there are 5 steps to get upstairs, let's say, and you learn that you have to take 5 steps to get upstairs, as opposed to learning you have to go upstairs at a certain time, right? Let's say 8 p.m. every night, you have to go upstairs. But you learn at 8 p.m. every night you take because you didn't learn what the goal is. You just learned how, like, the one way to get there. That's what I feel like it is. And like you said, it's education. You have to teach people what to do.
No, Maz, you should not be teaching anybody anything. You think far, far, far too highly of yourself and thinking that you can educate people. You're not the one. You're not the one. This is not your lane. You're trying so hard to make this your lane, and it's really not your lane.
But not to do, but like around a theme or a goal or a big picture, not around one tiny little activity. It's like when you're trying to teach kids and you're like not supposed to teach down. Like you're not supposed to say, oh, I want to do an obstacle course with the kids. How can I make this fit a theme I need to teach them? It's supposed to be the other way around, right? Like I want to teach them this theme. What's the best way to impart that knowledge upon them? You know, and that's how you figure out the activity. That's kind of how I think about it. I'm way too, like, thinking about this way too much, but it's just like an interesting conversation because it really had me thinking when I heard that stuff today. Ooh, just dropped the stuff I needed. Those who use the derogatory terms are usually the ones who don't have... Right. But at the same time, yes, for them, yes. Okay, wait, this is, you know what this is? It's the thumb is a finger and a finger's not a thumb argument. Yes, to what you're saying. But it doesn't mean the ones who don't use it have the education. Right? The people who use it probably don't have the education, but the people who don't they do whatever, you know, actual racists. But may never say those the bad words, right? Because they learn not to. It doesn't make them less racist. And it also doesn't fix the problem. So it's just people who are being, again, social justice, like, more like, they're being politically correct, so what? Right? I guess that's what I'm like, okay. Oh no, don't say the R word, because it's going to hurt someone's feelings. But I'm not saying it because, if you're just not saying it because you don't want to call someone stupid, well then that's the problem right there, is you still think it believes, you still think it means someone's stupid. So what does it matter if you say it or not? You know what I mean? That to me is the problem. Okay, so we all don't use the bad words, but we all still think that in that way. What does that fix?
Is she low-key confessing that inside of her head she calls everybody she meets the R word? Missy! Reading my mind. Oh my goodness. Right. Right. Absolutely, that's true. Because John hasn't said the word in a long time, and he is.
That's I guess what I've been trying to say for like an hour. We should be using it all the time in terms of education. Because the more you know not to use, like, you know? If someone just says to you, don't use this word because it's not nice, you're eventually, because you're just diminishing it, like, and pushing it to the side. That's the problem. Who cares? And I'm not saying who cares if someone uses a mean word like the R word or the N word or the homophobia or the whatever. Of course, I don't, listen, I cringe whenever I hear it. And you know we hear it a lot around YouTube here, sadly. But that's because I know the meaning behind it. So it carries more weight. So I hear it and it like, you know, like it's like a stab. But I don't, like, I'll never understand.
Muzz, how does this fit in with all the anti-Semitism that we also hear from different creators and such?
I'll tell you this. Every time people are like, John Yates is the most racist because he used the N-word. No, he ain't. That's not why he's racist, because he used the N-word. Again,
Who the fuck do you hear say that? Please, the man hasn't said it in over a year. But all the time I'm constantly doing videos pointing out and showing which he is still actually a whole ass racist, even though we haven't heard that word come out of his mouth in quite some time. So I don't know who the fuck you're talking to, but the people are way smarter than you're giving them credit for. They are way smarter than what you're giving them credit for. You're a fucking idiot. Nobody needs you as a teacher.
it's gross. And if it falls out of your... Here's the problem about using the word. It's not that you use it. It's when it falls off your tongue easily, it means it's in your vernacular. And it means... And it's how you use it. If you're mad at a gay, you call them a slur, that's the hatred. That's the homophobia, right? It's what's behind the words. Well, how are you supposed to differentiate the, like, racists from the people who just say it because they don't know? It's just about the word. Don't we want to know who really fucking believes this shit? So that we can educate them to hopefully eradicate. And it sounds like a cliche, but...
Is Maz now currently envisioning herself she really thinks highly of herself. So guys, as you in your head want to call someone that word or be racist, it's okay because the words didn't come out of your mouth. Great lesson, Muzz. The dog shits in your apartment.
It's so true. You know what I mean? It's like, if you just... I know, I'm being ridiculous. But at the same time, if we don't have these conversations, and if we say, oh, it's hopeless, it's ridiculous, then here we go, back at square one, right? That's the whole problem, I think. It's like, who cares? Just don't say the word. Well, that's not the solution. Because, again, any of the isms or the phobias or the whatever, it's not about the word or certain words standing on their own. It's about the context and the history, like, you know? Oppression, all of it. So, I don't know. So I just want to hear people shaming others for using the R word by sort of saying, well, they are not the R word, insinuating because they're not stupid, you might as well just call them the R word. That's kind of what I'm like, you know, what's the difference?
Muzz, you seem to have a horrible twitch in your eye that you really need to get taken care of. I don't know if it's your avatar or if you're the one, like, with the twitch. It's a stupid conversation.
Other than it sounds nicer to defend it. and like just hearing like someone say like, oh, I don't think they're really special needs. Other than I also heard them say like, I know scientifically and medically they are, but all humans have sensory issues. I'm like, wait, what are we saying? Special needs are not humans? Wait, like that's my concern. Is when the message is just words, we're soon gonna not be able to say any words and still have the same fucking mentality. That seems very backwards to me. You know, I know of so I have a friend of mine who has a friend who drops the N-word. And I said, well, what do you mean she says it? Like, how? And this friend of hers would say, oh, we're, from the South. And she's like, no, we don't. And I said, well, how does she say it? Like, what context? Not that it makes it better. I'm just curious. And she's like, oh, when she's mad at a person of color. And I go, well, that is racism, right? That.
What, Muzz? As opposed to if she had put the A on it, it's still racism. It's almost worse because you're choosing to ignore the fact that it's racist because you didn't put the R on it and you left it with an A. Yep, last night.
You know what John Yates always says? Like, I can say the F slur because I'm gay. It doesn't make me homophobic. Well, but if you're saying it to insult a gay person when you're angry, that is by definition a slur. Ergo, that's what you are, right? I know that like people use sometimes these words like to joke with their friends, whatever. Again, it's the meaning. Like, you can't say like John can't say I can't be homophobic. I'm gay. You can if you say it like that. It means you're insulting them for being gay when you're mad at them. Isn't that exactly what it is? It's like it matters. It matters. So, I don't know. It's like when you are mad at someone and you think they did something stupid and you said, hey, you're such an R word. That's the problem with the R word. Not the existence of it. I feel like the world would be a different place. You know what I feel like? I feel like once, the woke culture that people hate use it as an insult. I don't think it's an insult. I wonder actually if the world would be like a different place. It's almost like we put band-aids because it was like catching up too quickly and it was like, oh my God, we have to like bury this way faster than it's gonna do. It's done and gonna do more harm. Oh, great. Wow. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like when you rush anything, you put a band-aid on it, well, it stops the bleeding, but is there an infection behind that? Exactly. Anyone can be yes, anyone can be racist. You can be racist against your own.
You cannot be racist against your own race. Racism occurs towards marginalized people, towards like if white people are I don't even
If you think someone of the same race, lesser human being, due to the fact of that race, whether it's yours or not, isn't that what racism is? Don't you think they are literally inferior human beings? For whatever reason, like in terms of intelligence, whatever, but less than? Isn't that like, if you use a homophobic slur, they are less than because of the fact that they are gay. Racism, they are less than because of the fact that they are a different race. Right? Well, what does that have to do with the person saying it? Shouldn't have anything to do with the person saying it. You know what I mean? But anyways, I don't know. I'm just like ranting and raving. Not really. I just like talking it out because, I don't know, it's an interesting conversation to be had. It ain't gonna change anything. I'm just one person, but I heard that and I was like, what? It's something about someone saying that like people with autism don't have special needs. I'm like, that's exactly what but like, why are you, like you're saying it like special needs is a bad thing. You know what I mean? It's not. It's a difference, not a inferiority. Which is the whole ism-phobia problem to start with. But anyways, thank you for listening, and thank you for the discussion, Apple, and Peace and Cubes, and Graciela. hopefully one day, people will be less afraid of talking about the scary things or the bad things. Isn't it? I mean, I designed her. She's just my IG avatar. But now she chit-chats. I don't like the hair, though. This is driving me crazy. I'm changing it to short hair because this is weird. It's like long hair, short hair. I don't like that. We're going to have to put my hair up or something, but it's actually like exactly how I talk, like the faces and stuff, so kind of works out. So that's great, actually. I'm so glad they do this now because like stupid filters, boring.
That is in fact her eye twitch. Girl, you need to calm your eye down. Maybe you shouldn't be rushing so quickly back to IG and YouTube and social media with an eye twitch.
My dogs are very sleepy. Anywho, have a good night. Thank you. You're not. Nobody's gonna avoid. Well, we'll see if it's a long night or not. Night!
Damn it! Oh, it's further back than I thought. Person using the offensive language, dear God. Wrong way, sweetie. I love Google. Oh my gosh. So yeah, that was what two other streamers did yesterday. um yeah, so if you guys would not mind, please hit the like button before you exit the chat and the stream. I appreciate you guys all for coming, and yay, at least I figured out I can share the screen. I know how to do that, so I'm getting a little bit better with the OBS. I don't know how much better I'll get because at least I can do the basics. So that's good. And I will be back on YouTube in the next few days. Probably not tomorrow because I am streamed out for today for sure. So thank you. Right, princess? Jody, want to take Advil? Missy. Yeah, that was a lot of word salad. So I'm gonna leave the stream up. So if you need to go back and watch the beginning of anything, it will be there. Thank you, Pippi, and thank you everybody so much. Reagan, I'm still very limited, but I was very excited that I learned to share the screen. So yeah, about the first 10 or 15 minutes of this is me refiguring it out. So it did take me a little bit of time, but I got it. So thanks again, everybody. I don't have an outro to play. So yeah, I'm just going to end the stream. As soon as I realize how to do it, there it says stop streaming. All right, good night, everybody. Hopefully, I'll see y'all tomorrow or the next day.